Welcome back. We talk a lot about how God is loving, holy, and all-powerful, but we rarely, if ever, talk about the fact that God is creative. Yet that's the very first thing God reveals about himself in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God worked. Now, in this story we're going to read today, the author uses the story told in Genesis 1 about how God created everything in 6 days. Remember that story in Genesis 1 isn't a scientific way to explain how God created the universe, which we know took billions of years, but it's a story inspired by the Holy Spirit. And that story explains in a way that even a little kid can understand that God created the universe and everything in it, and that everything he created was good. Now, today's book, also just like Genesis 1, says that people have some things in common with God. What could those things be? Let's read and find out. The Creator in You, written by Jordan Rayner, illustrations by Jonathan David. Jordan Rayner is a tech entrepreneur and a 2-time recipient of a Google Fellowship. He lives with his wife and 3 young daughters in Tampa, Florida. Jonathan David and his wife have 2 kids and live in North Carolina, and he has no picture of himself on the internet at all. Before turning toward books, he worked as a graphic designer. In the very beginning, a long time ago, God created the world so that we would all know that he himself is a working God. Though you think that sounds just a little bit odd. God didn't go to an office, a school, or a cafe, but he worked nonetheless, much like we do today. On a world dark and empty, he drew up his plans to make oceans, the sky, and even the land. With his work just beginning, he rolled up his sleeves and built mountains and rivers and towers of trees. He grabbed a big brush and painted the stars and dressed up the sky with Saturn and Mars. He made creatures appear, like polar bears, penguins, alpacas, and deer. God created the world. A world for exploring, for work, and for play. And God had one more thing to do. God chose to make you. And now you might think that our story is ending, but in fact, this is just the beginning. God made you to act and work and create like him. Because while God created a lot, there were so many things that he simply did not, like bridges and baseballs, sandcastles, and s'mores. God asks us to create and work and fill the planet with more. So grab a blank sheet of paper and create with your hands, or draw up some plans for a lemonade stand. Roll up your sleeves and build epic tree forts, and someday build cities and towers and ports. With your very own brush, paint your own starry night, or engineer a space shuttle and blast off into flight. With just a few words, write a book or a song that sparks inspiration or a great sing-along. Create new businesses, movies, medicine, and hope. Make laws, or computers, or a new telescope. Because when you work or you make something new, you're doing what God has made you to do. You are showing the world what the Father is like, a God who creates to bring people delight. And when you show others the Creator in you, you bring joy to the world and to your Father too. The end. So what do you think? Did you notice that the illustrator in this book imagined God having hands that do a lot of his creating? Now, I don't think God actually has hands, but it did make some really cool pictures, didn't it? So, what was this book about? Well, I think it's you and I were not created just to enjoy ourselves. We have ways in which we are like God himself. One of them is that he's given us the ability to be creative. And he's given us talents and skills to create and make things that will improve the way the world is. Since we are his representatives on earth, he's also given us the gift to know his love for all the world. He's given us the ability to share that love with everyone around us. He has given us himself. See you next week.